Hey, Mr. Harridan here. We're going to go over limiting reactants. Why is this important? Because we know the quantities of the chemicals we start off with, usually two different chemicals, and we measure the masses of them. And we want to know how much of the product we want to produce. So one chemical actually limits how much we make, and then we have an excess chemical too as well. So that's the point of this. So we got to figure out what theoretically we can make from a stoichiometry reaction. So I have a cookie recipe. My cookie recipe contains 4 eggs, 2 cups of flour, 1.5 cups of sugar, and 2 sticks of butter. Hey, I go into my fridge and I find 6 eggs. My recipe calls for 4 eggs, so I can make 1.5 batches of cookies just based off the eggs. 5 cups of flour I have at home, 2 cups of flour. I can make 2.5 batches of cookies based off of the flour. 4.5 cups of sugar, 1.5 cups of sugar. I can make 3 batches of cookies based off of the sugar. And off of the eggs, I can make butter. I can make 2 batches of cookies. Okay. If you can make half batches, how many half batches of cookies could I make? Well, I have to pick out the lowest number here, because once I make 1.5 batches, I run out of eggs and I cannot make any more cookies. So I can make 1.5 batches. The 1.5 batches was based off of the eggs, so that limits how many batches of cookies I can make. The excess reactants, I'll have leftover flour, sugar, and butter. So if I want to make more batches, I would go out and buy some more eggs. Just saying. Okay. So for the butter, how much of it would you end up using making your cookies? Well, I can make 1.5 batches times 2 sticks of butter, which means I would use 3 sticks of butter to make the cookies. How much butter will be left over? 4 minus 3, which will be 1 stick of butter. Okay. 40 eggs. How many of you are going to end up using for the cookies? So 1.5 times 4, I would use 6 eggs. How many eggs will be left over? Well, I used all 6 eggs, so none would be left over. Normally a batch of cookies contains 48 cookies, but you ate some cookie dough while you were cooking and burnt some cookies. Why would you burn the cookies? You only ended up with making 55 cookies. What was your percent yield? Percent yield is experimental over theoretical times 100. Okay. So my experimental, what I made was 55 cookies. Okay. A normal batch makes 48 cookies. I can make 1.5 batches, remember, because I was limited by my eggs. So 48 times 1.5 equals 72 cookies I can make. That is what I can make in theory. Or not 78, 72. Learn to read, Mr. Harridan. So 55 divided by 72 times 100 equals 76.4 cookies. Okay, let me show you how I apply this to an actual problem here.